Hey, folks. I did this experiment on options as a way to be able to prove to myself that trading, because it's all over the place out there, trade, 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 trade. You can make massive amounts of money if you just trade, trade, trade. But the problem with trading is that your positions change over time. I mean, yes, I can go in and I can buy Raytheon options and hold them for a while and make some profit. Yes, I can. I have one stock risk then, and I don't really have the stock risk. I just have a paper risk because I own paper on that particular stock. I don't even own the stock. I just own the paper, which is just created out of thin air. And then the other thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to see over time if you just traded one stock and you pushed it out over time, if you pushed the option out, so you sold the option on an up day and bought the option on a down day, the exact same option, and just kept pushing it out 1 week at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 week at a time. What would that do from a total return perspective? And I haven't had a chance to be able to do that study as of yet. I'll pick something like a Raytheon or uh, possibly Honeywell. I'll probably choose Honeywell. Raytheon's a good mid cap, and I like mid caps. But Honeywell, of course, is a large cap and just that much stronger than what Raytheon actually is. So I'll probably choose. Probably choose Honeywell and do that. But what I wanted to show myself was when you're trading, the problem becomes what do you buy next? So if you sell X, and you want to stay fully invested and you believe in the market's moving up or the market's moving down, you want to stay fully invested. What happened to me over the last 6 months is I performed just as well as what a good mid cap mutual fund would perform over the same time period. Actually, the mid cap mutual fund did better, and that frees me up to do my thing, which is where I make the most money. So yes, my account spiked from 15,500 to $30,000 in a second. There was a second that my account was $30,000. If I would have executed out of everything at that point in time and just simply walked away and said, hey, I've got a 50% gain that's good enough for me, let me get the hell out of here, then I would have had a 100% gain or nearly 100% gain. But who does that? Who has the ability to be able to do that and walk away from it for a month or two and then come back in later? And how do you know that when you're coming back in, you're coming back in at a pivot point? How do you know what you're doing? Yes, the market is soaring. And the data sets today, because the market was showing short, 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 but then as soon as the Federal Reserve spoke and he said, yeah, instead of having a 75% basis cut, we're only going to do a rise in interest rates. We're only going to do a 50 basis point. So the market loved that because that's a pivot, if you will, for the US government. It's a pivot, a little bit less. It's still draconian. Interest rates on homes still go up another 0.50% in December, so people still get crushed. And of course, credit card interest rates rise, people still get crushed. All other debts, car loan debts, anything that's a variable, or if you're going out to get a car loan, if you don't qualify with perfect credit for the cheap rate or the zero rate from the manufacturer, then you're going to be paying a larger interest rate for a car. Everything becomes more expensive. So at the end of the day, the trading thing I did was to prove to myself one thing. And that one thing is that a really good either basket of professionally managed mutual funds or segregated funds, if you're in Canada, are better for you because they free you up to do your thing. Whether your thing is going out on a bike ride in the morning, going for a walk in the morning, having a bowl of Cheerios in the morning with some chocolate cookies in it, whatever your thing is in the morning. And that way it frees you up to be able to do your thing rather than sitting there managing or following the stock market. Click, 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 click. And I did that for the experience. I wanted to prove to myself again what I already knew after years and years and years of doing it, that trading becomes a problem because you don't know where to go next. And even with the spreadsheet, looking at the signal points in the signal points in the spreadsheet are for that second, that moment in time, if you will. So like today, the spreadsheet was saying, uh-oh, look out below. But then all of a sudden, the Federal Reserve guy comes up and he says, yeah, we're going to pivot. All of a sudden, it's skyrockets in flight. Afternoon delight. Okay. Well, if you're on the wrong side of that trade, as I was, and on Monday you were on the wrong side of the trade as I was, or as oil stopped working on Monday, and oil did not really do that well today. Didn't do as well as other sectors. The tech sector just soared. So at the end of the day, the problem becomes, how do you do that? How does one person sit there and take it all in and do it? It's impossible, especially if you're doing something else. So is there a different way? Is there a better way, a different way, or whatever way? So what I have here in front of me, and you're going to see a change in how I do these videos after this. So what I have here in front of me is the Fidelity Midcap. I just chose a midcap value fund. That's all I did. Just chose midcap value. Just something simple. Didn't matter which one I looked at. And I simply said, okay, if I started investing in June on whatever I can get here. So June 16th was roughly, because I'm saying June 15th, was where I started, which was right here. Okay. So if I use June 15th as my example, I'm down 9.87%. Okay, 9.87%. Going out, so technically I did a little bit better if you think about it. So going out, I'm now only down, this is as of yesterday, not even today's close yet, 3.31. So add in another percentage point for today. So negative 2.31. And if we go back to June 15th, wherever we were here, I got to get my finger to move. It's so hard to do this sometimes. June 15th, negative 9.87. That's when I deployed my money. So that was even money on June 15th. And now we're back positive, or we're only negative 2.31. So we made 9.87 minus 2.31. We made 7.56%. Ostensibly, if we put the same $15,500 into the Fidelity Midcap Value Fund, it made 7.56% between now and today's close, between June 15th and today's close. So my personal account, because I've been trading around on the wrong side, or the market moved against me in some of the positions that I had, paper positions without real equities following along behind them, the gain I have is minus 15,500 is divided by 15,500 is 9.62%. 9.62%. Okay. So if let me get rid of this because I don't want to necessarily point any of this stuff out. So if I look at this clean piece of paper, this will put it into a little different perspective for us. If I only had a mutual fund, this mutual fund that I have up here, the Fidelity Midcap Value, then my gain from the time I bought in is 7.56. And by doing it myself, I'm 9.62. Okay. For all intents and purposes, yes, I did better than what the mutual fund did. But the time I put into it, the time value, and that's what everybody forgets. Oh, yeah, I'm making all kinds of money on a trade. Yeah, but how much time are you putting into it? And what are you valuing your time at? My time is exceptionally valuable. If I'm helping you buy a house and it only takes me 6 or 7 hours to help you truly find a house, probably averages about 10 hours. Maybe a little bit more, maybe it's 20. I'll have to do that breakout as well too from a data set perspective on the next one. I'll do that. I'll figure out how much time I spend on each client to get them a house. Or if I spend with you talking about how mutual funds or segregated funds, specifically segregated funds, are better than trying to do it yourself, then you'll see that there's a reason for this pivot that I have going on. You've been following along, and yeah, I was up massively, but then you start trading around. You don't know what to do, or you trade into something that seems logical and it works against you. Then it's like, okay, what do I do? Then the market starts to look like it's going to turn around, and then all of a sudden the Federal Reserve guy comes out and speaks. You got to be on this if you're taking care of your own money at 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, because the data set that comes out of China tonight can affect what happens in the market tomorrow. But if you just carry a basket or carry a mutual fund or carry a segregated fund and say, yeah, there's a manager that takes care of all of this over time, yes, I'm plus or minus. And over time, I will be plus. And just say, I'm going to do other things with my time. I'm going to go out and I'm going to get a part-time job in the morning. I could have gone to Tim Hortons and served coffee in the morning and been further ahead, because Tim Hortons would have paid me, $500 a week over the last 6 months, or last 5 months, if you will. And I would have had that money on top of this gain. So my total gain would have been that much more. Or I could have been entering cars on Etsy, where I make really good profit margins, and done more. Or I could have been going out on morning appointments talking to people about their segregated funds and made more. Or I could have been learning about segregated funds and about wealth management, or taking a class on something and made more, because I would be smarter for the future. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to point out is, now that I've done it, and now that I played around with it, and now that I showed you, there is nothing out there. There is no free lunch out there. I'm convinced of it, because this is the second time I've done this. And what happens is, when you're on the wrong side of the trade, you start wanting to be on the right side of the trade again, and you start working that much harder, and you see your numbers go down even worse. So you have to pull the plug at some point in time. Luckily, I didn't trade all the way back down to where I started from. That was my problem before, when I did this back in 2000, or whenever the hell it was. It was a long, long time ago. Forget when it was. 2002. I was short 2001, which worked out really, really well. But then when Obama came out and said he liked stocks in 2020, in 2002, when the Federal Reserve started buying E-mini futures, that crushed me, because I was still on the short side of the equation, thinking the market was still going to continue to keep short, but the market was soaring higher. And so at the end of the day, my point is just this, that we're better off doing our thing. Especially because my time, when you think about 2%, that's really all it was 2%. If you think about that, 15,500 by 2%, the difference was $310. So I made myself, by trading myself, by paying attention to it and running with it, I made $310 for my time, which doesn't make any sense. So I've done it again. I've done it in video. And now I can just focus on the concept of building my financial services firm and explaining this to people, that, look, hey, there's a video on it. I have looked at other ways to be able to try to make money. It does not work, because the time that's invested in it, and the emotion that's invested in it, and how do you move from one place to another place, and how do you know the market today is going to work in your favor? What if it stops working in your favor like it did on Monday? And then what if you pivot based upon the data sets not looking any good? And then what if the Federal Reserve comes out later that day and says, yeah, we're going to change course? What do? That's what killed all of my profits. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. And now doing this data set, go on, do what you do. That's what this video is all about. Go on, do what you do. You'll make more money. The extra money you generate, leave that with a money manager who sits there every single day and builds portfolios and just holds actual stocks, not pieces of paper, actual stocks, which have value, and positions in companies. and you'll do better. It's just, you'll do better. Focus on the things that you need to be doing. Whether you need to be losing weight, whether you're pre-diabetic, you need to go for a bike ride. Call for a bike ride. I've been all over the place. It just doesn't make any sense. So good, solid, segregated funds for the future, buying and then doing all of that dollar cost averaging. Those are different videos for later on, by the way. But this is just the proof. It doesn't work. Trading, taking care of your own account, doesn't work. You don't have the kind of time nor the ability to be able to do that, because I've got all kinds of tools. I've got all kinds of wonderful tools in here, and I still screwed it up royally. Or not really screwed it up. I still outperformed but underperformed based upon the amount of time it took. That's what I'm trying to point out. So thanks for watching this video. Get back out there, do your thing. That's what I'll be out there doing tomorrow morning. I've got life insurance appointment. I've got a life insurance appointment for tomorrow morning where I'm doing 4 contracts. What's the profit margin for that? Far more than if I was sitting there trading stocks. Then I've got my group benefits business flyers just about done. I'm going to get started on that. And I've also got some door hangers that I can start walking around with now that it's cold, and do all of that stuff in the morning. I get one phone call off a door hanger from a morning walk, and look out, I end up making far more money than I could ever do by trading. So at the end of the day, that's your report. Enjoy your day. Go out and do it. Go out and kill it. And thanks for watching. It's been a great experiment, and I'm happy to have shared it with you. Bye-bye.